You ready?
I guess so. Let's go.
All right. What's the deal, family? Welcome back to the SOS podcast. I am Cameron. This is my guy, Shawn, my very first guest, actually the first guest of the entire show. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Honestly, I feel the pressure, so hopefully I don't mess it up. But no, it's an honor to be a part of it,
Show.
just to sit down and chop it up like we always do.
Yeah.
Just to put it on camera, but always good vibes, so I appreciate it.
For sure, man. So the reason I have it's just me and one other guest, specifically another male, is to introduce another part of the podcast that is kind of going to be a showcase of not only the other men that's a part of my life, but just men and being fathers, men that they are in the community, what they do, how they lead, and just, if they don't hear, I find them pretty authentic people. So, and, we down. So get ready for a new segment from Sips with Success. So
I'm excited.
Before we get started, I was going to give like a little rundown, but I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. I want you to let them know who you are. This is Buffalo's finest. He ain't even from Detroit. We're gonna get into how we met and all that, but let them know, who you are, where you're from, and all that good stuff. What you do.
All right. Yeah. Like you said.
Oh wait. Before we get into that,
we
man,
got a
cheers.
Toast, right?
Yeah,
Cheers. What we having?
We got good job, dog. You be watching Aaron, don't you?
I tap in from time to time.
We got old fashioned mocktails. So it's actually not it's not like the fake liquor. I use black tea.
Oh.
I steeped some black tea and I did the rest just like an old fashioned. You got the bitters, got a little orange peel, sprinkle, whatever, and we got some maple bourbon syrup. So it's all the healthy things because my guy Shawn's still on the dry January, even though it's February.
I can't say it's just dry January. I probably do it for I told my wife Joy that I'll do it until we celebrate her birthday end of this month.
Yeah, okay.
Then I'll
go back to it.
Okay, but still probably ease in because I need to drop some of this dad bod weight that I gained over the last 6 months. So, but I'll try it out.
Oh, this is decent.
Hell yeah.
This is the first time I tasted it too.
I definitely tasted black tea.
For sure.
Tea in there.
Yeah.
Like nice, smooth. Taste the bitters and the orange.
It's good. I rock with this.
Yeah, I know what the old fashioned tastes like. You guys, if I had the old fashioned, I probably would definitely share a little bit more. No, I'm just kidding. It knocked the edge off.
You had the old fashioned though before here.
Oh yeah.
Did I make you a smoke one or what?
I can't remember if it was smoke one, but
yeah.
Anytime I'm here and you make more than one drink, I may need to get a ride home. So yeah. Oh, ask me who am I? So like you said, I'm Shawn. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. I moved here in 2018. Most people, well, I'll tell people I moved here for love. Most men never say that. Usually it's the woman that moves, but I was the reverse. I guess when you meet someone that you really love, I guess you'll do things you normally wouldn't do. So I moved here for love. My background is accounting. Went to school for accounting. I worked in public accounting for Deloitte, and then I went into private accounting. Also, I'm an avid sports player, watcher, supporter. I'm a big Buffalo Bills fan, so Bills Mafia. I like the Lions. I can have an NFC team. We have seasons with the Lions. We split them with our in-laws, but I support them unless they play in the Bills. So I have bragging rights to all the Detroit fans, and we beat y'all this year. So I got it for the next 2 years. But also, I'm a very, very family-oriented person.
Sure.
Faith-based. Number one thing I forgot to mention is I'm a faith-based individual, born and raised in the church, and still try to live by those guidelines day in and day out. And love to work out. I can keep going on and on, but like those are just the high level points about.
That's
me.
who you are for sure.
Yes.
That he ain't miss a beat with that. So real quick, me and Shawn met back in 2020, top of 2020. Before
like February.
Yeah. When was that? I think January, because I think it was before the world shut down.
You're right. It was
so January we actually were getting married at the same venue. Which y'all still went through with it to some extent, right? Y'all had like a reception.
Yeah, we still went through with it.
But anyway, we were only one of two black couples there, and of course, I can't remember how much longer or later Shawn got there after I did, but somebody came up to me and was like, "Hey, are you Shawn?" I was like, "No."
All black people look alike.
I guess, and I guess we twins, but lady came up, was like, "Hey, are you Shawn?" I was like, "Nah, I'm Cameron." And then a few moments later, basically skip forward past Shawn. Something that he's so good at is building relationships. I mean, it took him maybe all of 10 minutes before he walked in, say hello to his fiance, his fiance's family or whatever. I think he saw me and came and introduced himself. Like, that's literally how it went. Like, I saw him come in, but I can introduce myself, but not in the way that he does. Like, he ain't waste no time. Like, he got right to the money.
Yeah. That does sound very accurate. I remember I thought, hey, there's another black couple here.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Let me just go say what up to them.
Yeah.
And see when their wedding is, how far they got along.
And we had just actually basically decided to go there. I think y'all had already been in the game with deposits and all that.
Yeah, we were in there kind of deep.
Because I proposed later in the year.
Yeah.
So we had just basically got to the point.
Birthday.
Yeah, yep.
November 16th.
Which is also crazy.
Yeah.
He remember that date.
Out of all the dates that you remember, I remember that one.
But yeah, so we've been locked in pretty much ever since. But here's the kicker. We really got locked in because our wives got pregnant about the same time.
Yeah.
And we basically we went through the pregnancies together.
Oh, no, before that, we got married the same year.
But I was saying, like, we got, like we would talk.
Yeah,
like, we would go work out
like,
a couple times. But when we, like, really got locked in, it was like, oh, they both pregnant. And then we just started. We went on the journey together. Yeah. So his daughter, he also had a daughter, Noah.
Yeah, Noah. Sessum, Noah Elise Sessum. She's 6 months.
6 months?
6.5 months.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know. Time is flying. Like, everyone says it flies by, but living in the moment and seeing it, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's been a blessing. I mean, that's a whole segment I can talk about when we get to that. But like, it's exciting. Every day is a new challenge, but it's also a blessing to have them. Yeah.
So you probably see Shawn like right here how he is. He's an avid. I'm talking about he's into building relationships, even though he doesn't think he is.
No, I think so.
He don't.
I like to work the room.
Yeah, he does, but he don't want to use it to his advantage. I'm working on him with that.
I used to use it to my advantage as a young man.
Okay, I got you.
With the ladies networking, but
politicking and all that.
Politicking, but I think as I transitioned and got married and want to use it for the kingdom,
for the right reasons.
For the right reasons, for the kingdom,
absolutely.
But also, for other areas in my life that can bring people together.
Yeah.
Especially, I've used it in other areas. It wasn't just for that, but like being a nucleus of my family. Whenever I come home, I bring the family together. Whether it's small gathering, breakfast, dinner, it's always like, Shawn in town, so we're gonna get together.
Right.
When I'm not there, they don't get together.
It's crickets.
So it's a common thread in every area of my life.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned family. And like most of us, like we'll try to read a book before. Well, we'll look at the cover before we read the book. And I assumed that Shawn was a little bit more like how I am until he started sharing more about his life. We don't have similar households. In fact, we didn't grow up at all similar. Not that I grew up so fortunate, but some of the things you share, like single mom. How many? 7 siblings?
Yeah, I'm one of 7 boys.
Yeah, one of
All
7.
Boys. Single mom.
Projects of Buffalo.
Yep, I lived in the projects. Moved about 7 or 8 times in my life.
Yeah.
So change was constant.
So when he said all this, I mean, it kind of threw me off and blew me away just a little bit. It threw me off just because I typically don't meet people, and that's what I would say is polished when they are around, from those circumstances.
Oh, that's a compliment. People think I'm polished. All right.
I would give you a little polished guy. No, but it's just it don't always work out that way. Sometimes we're a product of our environment, as you know, in our community. But what got me where I was blown away was like who this man you are. So I don't know you. I don't know the 19-year-old, young 20-year-old Shawn.
Right.
I think I met you when you were 30. Because you're
Yeah,
34
it
now,
was
right?
probably 2020, so 29.
29,
Born
yeah.
in
So
90, so
I
turning
know
30 to
I know
year.
the new and improved
The
Shawn.
renewed, yeah.
Yeah.
The born
Yeah,
again.
the born again. Got washed away.
Yeah.
So that's what blew me away. It's like I see you. Obviously, I see you. You're about to get married. You're talking highly of your wife. Which your wife, me and her actually went to high school together. Even though we
Yeah.
didn't. She was a little older than I
I
am.
think she was a senior, you were a
I was a
freshman.
freshman. So
Yeah.
she looked familiar when I saw her, but which that was also. It was just all these things that I feel like came up or aligned. That was like, oh, this kind of makes sense in
Yeah.
the long run. But because you mentioned family, I want to know like when did you decide to, I guess, become the man who you are now, from being a husband, father, the man you are in the community, and all those things. What was the deciding factor for you that I guess got you to this point?
Um, well, I'd be remiss if I didn't shed light on the earlier stages, because I feel like everything we go in life makes you who you are today. There's a reason, whether it's fertilization to the soil, things you're going through.
Yeah.
But one, growing up in a single parent household, my mom has 7 kids, 7 boys. I was the middle child. My father was there financially, transactionally. He was an older guy.
Yeah.
He had me when he was 61. So be careful when you get 60,
That's crazy.
Men out there, be careful. But
61,
my
wow.
mom was a young pup, and Papa was a Rolling Stone, as they would say. But he was there financially, transactionally, but not necessarily like a role model.
Yeah.
So I never really saw what like marriage looked like. When you talk about being a husband, I never really saw what marriage really looked like. It wasn't until I got older, I started meeting other married individuals. But as a young boy, maybe 4th, 5th grade, like I knew I wanted a different life, because I was sick and tired of us not even living paycheck to paycheck. We were broke. We, like you said, the projects, but I remember days where, we wouldn't have lights, no hot water.
Right.
I had siblings that were in the streets. My older brothers were in the streets. That led them to being in prison, 18 to life.
You can move this too if you.
I think I'm good. I don't know.
Okay.
18 to life, 25 to life. Always fighting, gang banging. Sometimes I get emotional when I talk about it. But you can learn what not to do from people that aren't doing the right things, and they didn't allow me to do those things. So early on, I knew like I didn't want that life.
Yeah.
I wanted something different, meaning I wanted to make it out the hood,
Right.
quote unquote, whatever that may look like, because it looked different from a lot of people.
Right.
But I knew I wanted different early on, like 4th, 5th grade, stayed involved in sports, in education. I knew those were my tickets out the hood. I always wanted to be an NFL player or to go to the league, but unfortunately, I ain't got the height and I wasn't the most athletic, but I always was good in school. So those were like that, and also being a believer. And my mom kept us in the church every Sunday, no matter what area we grew up in.
Yeah, I was at
we
church.
would be walking to a corner church, the closest church on the corner, or we would be on the church vans. So she instilled faith in us. And then I had the school and the sports discipline that kept me like grounded, and it kept me away from some of the activities that my siblings were in.
Okay.
So that kind of like helped me have a foundation. But like what continued to mold me as I got older, I would say that it was more seeing what they were doing, whether it was having kids out of wedlock, multiple kids, multiple baby mamas, the drama that came with that. I just said, nah, I don't want that life.
Right.
So then it was like to stay the course, like stay in school. I feel like when you go in different areas in your life and when you start to elevate or get an increase, you start to meet other people. And I kind of learned from just what's around me, or the people that I've came in contact with, or going to the houses, the big suburban house. They're like, oh, wow, I can have a life like that.
Right.
Like some of my friends on sports teams, or just meeting coaches that had a wife. You're like, oh, they got a nice family. One day maybe I can have that.
Right.
And then it was just like once I got to college, because I finished high school. Side note, I was the first one to graduate high school in my family.
All 7 siblings?
All siblings. And then the first one, consequently, to go on to college.
Okay.
So that was a big thing. That's like breaking generational curses.
That alone.
That was huge for my family. People right there was like, oh, you made it.
Right.
Like when you make it out, like you're the first one to do that. But behind me, the next three below me, they all at least got graduated high school and then went to college of some
Okay.
sort. So I did notice
You
that.
started the trend.
Started the trend, exactly. But if I transition to be like, because I can't remember the exact question you asked about the husband to being a father, but like those areas early on, I know I didn't want to not mention that because that's important to
Who you are today.
where I got to today.
Yeah.
Now, when I was young, I was around and out here in these streets. I wasn't necessarily thinking about marriage.
Let's talk about it then.
Okay.
Let's talk about it. I mean, I know quite a bit, but I mean,
yeah. But
here's the thing. I feel like I'm trying to, you know how we talk in general every day.
Right.
I want this to be more of a thing where we all been somewhere before. We all didn't had sex before marriage. We all didn't treated girls a certain way before. You know, we was somebody before who we are now.
Absolutely.
So you want to talk about it, go ahead and talk about it. Because you was a wild boy.
Yeah, I mean, growing up where I grew up, the number one thing us men we talked about was like how many girls you got, how many numbers you get,
Can you get, yeah.
how many, what's your body count? Like it was always that. And I remember vividly, like one of the older guys, probably 10 years older, like, oh, you ain't gonna never have no girls, dog. You ain't got it. And I took it as a challenge. Like, I ain't got the looks, you ain't got it. I took a challenge every time I came back. When we moved from there, I would give them an update, like, oh, I got this many girls, oh, I got that. And I'm not saying that to boast or brag, but that was just
that was your get off at the time.
Yeah. And I'm looking back on it, like, kind of regretful.
Yeah.
Like, dang, was it worth it? Because anything you went through early, it has an impact later
on.
So I was one that I kind of did not knowing what my dad did.
Okay.
It wasn't until I was told how my pops was
that you realized that
he was a Rolling Stone.
Right.
Where he laid his hat was his home. And
temps.
Meaning he was out here. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that, but that was in me.
It was in you already.
Yeah. I had no idea.
You just weren't aware.
And that was the area where it became an addiction. Women became an addiction, which consequently sex became an addiction, to where that had a bondage on me up until I met my wife right now.
Okay.
And it still has an impact because when you get married, it doesn't all just go away.
Yeah.
When you
got to work through it.
Yeah, it still comes up. Little things are triggers. The enemy find a way to come and attack you if you ain't getting on this week because you thought you was going to get something from your wife.
Right.
And you just be like, dang. You just have a moment.
Right.
It's like, what are you going to turn to?
Right.
Do you turn into pornography? Do you turn into, I don't know, what it is you turn to? Or do you turn into just accepting it and getting into your word, something that's going to take you away from that, get your mind off of it. So women, early on.
Find a distraction for the distraction.
Exactly. Early on it also, I ain't going to lie, women kept me out of the streets though.
So in a way, it was a saving.
That's the way I like to rationalize it, but it's true because I have a prime example real quick. I had buddies that were selling drugs and they were getting ready to go in the corner to do it. And I was with them all day, hanging out with them. And then I got a text from one of the girls like, hey, I just made it home or something like that. Like, if you're around, stop by. And I told them like, yo, I'm out, boys. I just got this text. And literally 30 minutes later, they hit me up like, yo, so-and-so just got, the cops just put him in the car, da-da-da-da-da. Like, I could have been there.
Yeah. And
I would like to say is God, one, probably for sure, Holy Spirit, but also it was that girl texting me.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I wasn't there.
I think a lot of times we get caught up, especially as Christian people and men, we get caught up sometimes. And even I've fallen short of admitting certain things in the past because of what sometimes the church can kind of make you kind of feel bad about. But it is moments like that allow you to kind of grow up.
Yeah.
And it's not until you get older, you look back and you're like, okay, I've grown from that person that I once was. But at the same time, it actually helped me. You know, sometimes I think having sex before marriage, selling drugs, sometimes they teach you lessons. you don't learn those lessons to maybe later on. And sometimes I also think that, yeah, we got people we can say, oh yeah, you know, they went to jail, but we also know people that got lucky and, you know, maybe got a text and was like, yeah, because this girl texted me, I was able to go to college the next week.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I could have went to jail too just because I was with the homies.
I wasn't doing it, but you're guilty by
Yeah,
association.
you're guilty by association. So sometimes, even though now we would say, oh man, you know, why was I doing that? Why was I like that? At the same time, you still kind of got to lean on the fact that it was a part of my story. Yeah. It's a part of how I got to, you know, I've learned how to, one, be a husband. I learned how to go find the right woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, that journey sometimes comes from those, I guess, that history or those lessons, I like to say. So, you know what I
definitely
mean?
Can see that.
Yeah. So it sound bad sometime, and it'll sound bad to some women sometime, I would say. But if you never told them, they'll think you were just this perfect gentleman. But it's like, how does this perfect gentleman, where does this come from? What was this rooted from? Now, sometimes you just might get the perfect gentleman. He ain't got no track history. He's just like this perfect guy.
Right.
I ain't him, and he ain't him. So. But you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes we all start somewhere, and we all have the choice to finish here or there. I like to think, in the grand scheme, we chose the latter.
Yeah,
you know,
when you said that, I thought about the 3-season life.
Okay.
When you we all have a choice.
Yep.
To take a chance.
Yep.
To change your life.
Yep.
And that sums up like my childhood early on. Like, I had a choice. I could have been out here with my brother, but I took a chance, whether it was sports in school, that helped change my life to this day.
That's deep, dog.
Like, I actually...
You ain't never said that one to me.
I haven't. But I remember I got that award in high school. It was like 3 C's, but I think it was something like courage, character, something else.
Okay.
And then when I, later on in life, started learning, reading different books or different quotes, that one stuck out. And I just remembered it for our conversation today, because I'm like, that's real.
Yeah.
Every day, like, we have free will. We all have free will. We have the choices we can make, and they have an impact, all those choices.
Yeah.
So,
and you've mentioned before to me, kind of like that you feel karma sometimes. And fast forward now, you've been married for, we're both going on 5 years. This will be the 5th year.
Yeah.
Our 5-year anniversary, yours in July.
Yep.
Right.
July.
And your baby will be 1 in July as well.
I know.
That's crazy.
There's a lot of celebrations in July.
Right. That cheese.
Yeah.
And real quick, like, obviously you've shared how you've shifted your patterns, why you shifted your patterns in life, and you speak on, you'll talk about who you once were, and why sometimes you'll feel like, dang, if I hadn't did that, then maybe this wouldn't have been a result. So obviously, you got pretty little girl Noah now, and you and Joy y'all were trying since last February. Was it last February?
Yeah, she got off birth control.
Not last February. Was the February before last,
20, right? Was it 3?
23, right?
I think so. Yeah. February 23. Yeah, she got off birth control, so we were trying. February.
So I remember you. It got like 3 months in. You was like, bro, I don't know, man. Like, I need to. Shawn was like, I'm done drinking. I'm done eating such and such. He was deleting everything. And then one time he was like, man, like, if I ain't treat those girls like that one time, like, what would I be experiencing this, right? Like, you kind of had those moments, not like it was kind of dragging you down, but you were sharing moments where you would feel like it was your fault as to why you just either hadn't gotten pregnant yet, and then ultimately, obviously, you guys having a miscarriage first,
right?
And that really kind of killed your joy. It kind of made you lose momentum. Like, even I could tell a shift in like that. When I thought back, once you told me, I was like, oh yeah, he was kind of like off, and he wasn't like, you wasn't yourself in that moment. Because you told me, I think like a month or so later or something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember now all of that.
So you told me in December, so like 3 months later, actually.
Yeah.
You told me because y'all got pregnant
It's like, so the first time I think it was
October?
September, and then it was
Y'all got pregnant with Noah in
the week
October.
of Thanksgiving, like on a Monday, we were leaving to go to Buffalo.
Right, that's what. Yeah.
So we were like, oh, you can't drink. So people gonna be asking you,
Right.
what's up, what's going on? But I'll take the first part. I think you mentioned about how your past may have impacted like your thoughts of now.
Yeah.
But first off, not everyone gets lucky and have a child the first time they have
Right.
sex, and
Yeah.
I knew of that because of now,
Right.
like being around different people that were trying to have kids and how sensitive and how like I don't know the numbers, 33% chance or a lot.
It's a small chance.
One in
basically.
3 people have a miscarriage or something like
Yeah.
that, and for me, you start to question like, oh, we've been at this thing for 6 months,
Right.
7 months. You're consistently having sex, and as a guy, you want that, and you're like, oh, let's get it on. But it became mature, and I was trying not to look at it that way. But like when you're trying every day around this certain time frame, you would think like, oh, I'm loving this. But after a while, after 4 or 5 months,
You're like, this ain't even enjoyable.
it's kind of like it's the transaction.
Right.
And it was taking the vibe out of it. So like you start to think about your past and how much you've done it, where those good seeds being sowed back then,
Right.
and other people no, but like could this have been sowed right now?
Right.
So you kind of question that. You start to question everything because
Yeah.
then you start saying, is it IVF? Do we need to go to the doctor? It hasn't
Right.
even been a year yet.
Yeah.
And they tell you to come after a year, and then I'll admit there's pressure from your spouse that may come with that as well. And
So now you're stressed, and
Yeah.
that also lowers the chances and all those things.
all these little, the temperature got to be right, like all these things. But ultimately, we stayed the course, and
Yeah.
it was in September when she randomly one day I was working from home still in the basement. I come upstairs, and she said, "I got here, and take a look at this." I'm like, "Huh?" And it was a pregnancy test. I was like, "That's how you tell me?" I was a little surprised. I was like, "Oh, how many have you taken? Like, was it more than one?" And she's like, "Yeah." I said, "Wow, congratulations!" Okay. So, but then when we had the miscarriage, probably like a month later,
Yeah.
it rocked our world because
Yeah.
we obviously haven't experienced that, but we knew people that did, and I had hope though, even though I was hurt by it.
Yeah.
I had hope because it took us like almost 7 or 8 months to get to that point that we like, oh, both of our stuff kind of do works.
Yeah. You kind of viewed it as a breakthrough, even though
Yeah,
it
I'm
was,
like, oh, it
yeah.
does work. It's not me, it's not you. It's just this time
It
something
did.
was
It
wrong.
ain't go all the way.
Like we couldn't even conceive like
Right.
at that moment of where they meet and
Right.
make something out of it. So I had hope from that, and then people told me about the rainbow baby or whatnot after that. So we stayed in our word. We prayed on it, and we would, at first, honestly, Joy, when she was first pregnant, initially, like they tell you to wait 3 months to tell people. She was telling her closest family and
Yeah.
friends, and I tell her, I'm not telling no one until
Yeah.
we get past this window.
Yeah.
It was for that reason. I didn't want to have to go back
Go
and
through that
tell
again.
everybody like, yeah, we had a miscarriage.
Right.
But she said something to me that I'll never forget. Like, well, these are the people that's going to be there for you anyway.
Right.
Wouldn't you want them to know? But I was like, I just don't want to have to go through that feeling of telling everybody.
Yeah, and
back home.
I think I remember you when you did tell me that y'all were pregnant with Noah. I was like, dang, you took a minute. I mean, not that I was expecting you to have to tell me that y'all had a miscarriage first, but I was just like, it kind of made me think how I am. It's like we, especially as black men, we don't lean on each other enough in those times.
Yeah.
And when I thought back, I was like, dang, he kind of wasn't himself. If you know this man, like he's super vibrant, personality is through the roof. He gonna talk up a storm. Like I don't even think we talked that much in that month, in general.
I can't remember.
No, I'm saying I'm at the time when you told me, I thought back. I was like, dang, I wonder. I know how my memory
Yeah,
is.
you got A1 right there.
So I started to think back. I was like, oh yeah, he was a little different during that time. He wasn't talking as much.
Yeah.
And you talk like you gonna talk to somebody. But that's the other thing too, is like being able to just build our own community as men sometimes, because we ain't the first ones and we won't be the last ones to go through marriage. We won't be the last ones to become parents. We won't be the last ones to experience loss. We won't be all these things. And sometimes we end up as men going through that ourselves.
Yeah.
So that honestly in that time made me think like, dang, even I got to be better, because I'm like, he he ain't told nobody. And he like, all right, well, I'll say something now. I think y'all was almost out of the first trimester, and I think you was like, oh yeah, Joy is pregnant. But even you were skeptical at the time, even saying it, and you made that real clear, like, hey, I mean, I'm still
walking on eggshells. I want to wait till.
And you really was until like third trimester. I feel like you kind of was like worried for real
until she told. I remember Joy saying like a certain amount of weeks.
I think it's 27 weeks or something like that.
You better with the weeks than I am, but it was like there's a higher chance. Like the baby, basically, they can make it now.
It's I forget what they call it. The I don't know. I gotta ask in here, but it's like it's guaranteed at this point, basically.
I kind of going off something you just said, and I know you're the interviewer, but like there was a point in there you said like when we go through things as men, and we hold things in. I mean, for me, that's been me. I think from young, like we were taught that.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Don't share your feelings, keep them enclosed in, and be strong.
Yeah.
And
don't talk about it.
Don't talk about it. Yeah. More like be about it type of thing. And
fix it.
Yeah, and that's even me. Like when I was dating, I would never express how I really felt. So it's like, do you really even like me? Like I had to write letters. And that's another topic, but like just express my feelings.
Me too. My best expression was through writing. And I'm not even a writer.
I'm not either. That's the only way she knew that I really liked her, because it was something about I'm more of an actions guy, not necessarily words or share the expression. So me, when you're at your lowest or when something hurt, the last thing I'm going to do is go share
to somebody.
Yeah. Like, oh, I'm going to this. Like it's like, nah, you kind of struggle alone, which isn't healthy.
It ain't. And I'm trying to be better. For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good, man. So obviously you got the beautiful baby Noah. You obviously got your beautiful wife Joy. Everything is going as perfect as and I would say as blessed as it possibly can go. Right now, you've experienced being a husband and now a dad. What from here? Like, how do you plan to lead now?
Yeah.
Like leadership before versus leadership now, especially not being a dad.
Yeah, I think it starts when, like they say, be the man in the house, right? And be the head of the house. And you're supposed to be, from our faith, the closest to God, and being the head, not the tail, but leading that way with, going to. One of the things is any decision, whether major or big, we're supposed to look within, but connecting above, right?
Right.
That's supposed to be the first choice. I'm not the best at that, but like that's supposed to be the first one. But by getting married, I had this feeling overcome me that was just like euphoric, even to like when you're having a baby. But it was like, I want to be able to be supportive as much as I can.
Yeah.
Leading doesn't always mean you're the one out front.
Yeah.
Because your wife has different strengths than you.
Yep, absolutely.
And allowing them to lead where they may be stronger.
Where they're stronger at.
Like nurturing, for example, or planning. She's great at that.
Yeah.
Like letting them lead.
In those areas.
That's a leader in itself.
Yeah.
Right? So being a provider, that's one area. Being a protector, and being present. Those three.
The 3 Ps.
Just 3 Ps. I don't know if it's the 3 Ps, but.
No, I just made that.
Like those things, like having a good career.
Yeah.
Whether it's entrepreneurial on the side, whether it's having a corporate America, whatever it looks like, being a provider, but also being present. Like I said earlier, my pops, I think out of all my sporting events, from Little League to high school, I can count on one hand, maybe 3 fingers, how many he's gone to. Even though he would drop me off at practice all the time, that was the reason why I got there.
Yeah.
Would never be at the game.
He would never show when
but
you
I
won
still
him,
appreciate that, because that was the reason I was able to do that. So being present for my wife during tough times, during great times, being supportive, but even for Noah, being present, like everything I can make, I want to make. Having a good relationship with both your partner and the baby, and those are two different ones, but my wife comes first, then the baby, because everything flows from us to her. So having a relationship where she can come confide in me. I want to be the good cop. Mom can be the bad cop.
He's definitely the good cop.
She already got me wrapped around her finger. Last night I spent over an hour and a half, maybe. It felt like it, just rocking her. And my wife would tell me to put her back down when she woke up in the middle of the night.
It's over.
But I'm a sucker. I always wanted a boy first, but she got me.
Oh man, that's we both did. But these girls, hey, I honestly can't even imagine the boy right now.
I still
No, no,
want
no, no.
one.
Not saying that I don't want one. It's just like, you know how we think about when we become dads one day.
Yeah.
Like we automatically kind of think boy. So
Yeah,
you
so
kind
it's
of
like
picture
easy and
life with
flow.
a
Yeah.
boy, and we're men, so it's kind of like you just know.
Right.
But this having a daughter is it. Yeah,
She's teaching me patience. It's like marriage. We're supposed to be selfless and get rid of your selfish ways, like dying of self.
yeah,
Because you're connecting with one. That was already a challenge. Now you bring a kid into it. It's like a lot of it's not really about you and your schedules, and we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
It's really our lives is revolving right now around her schedule, and
ain't no 2
and
days the same.
right, and the routine is just thrown off. So I have to have a constant, whether I have conversation with you or it's like, yo, it might be over for a second. 2 to 3 hour workouts you try to do.
Yeah.
You may have to.
I think
get
I
more
told you that like a
efficient.
month
You did.
ago. I was
You
like,
did. My boys that have kids tell me that too. But like until you go through it, you really have no idea what it's like.
Yeah.
So like, but I know I'm getting off topic here, but like always being present, protective, and a provider, so that someone that she can come
Absolutely.
and confide into when things are going well, and knowing that like Pop's dad was always there.
Yeah.
Because as a female, your first love is men is your dad usually.
Should be.
If they're in your life.
Yep.
Otherwise, you go looking for love and all these other person from a man.
And typically you find it in the wrong way.
Right. So I want her to be able to, from a man, see how I treat her mom.
Be the first example.
First example.
Yep.
So those are the things that you meant, like leading the family or being that role model. How do I want to lead it to continue it on in the future?
Yeah, man. All right, man. Appreciate you, bro. Like that was good.
Oh,
you did good.
You
You really dropped some gems in there too. The 3 P's, the 3 C's. Like,
okay. Something like that. I don't think I got to all your questions, but
nah, I mean it's just the free flowing, just
the vibes.
The vibes, man. Even for me, like you said, you was nervous. This still was nervous because I ain't no interviewer. I'm trying to going from here. I feel like this was our kind of our natural, but we both know the mic is on, the camera is on,
That's
and
true.
all that good stuff.
I got a rhythm going.
Yeah,
eventually.
but you know, and the black tea got us loosened up.
Maybe next time if I'm on here, I'll have
the old fashioned.
Something
When you enjoy, come on.
okay.
When you enjoy, come on. So we probably do that like in March or something like that. Once y'all are back from your trip.
Yeah. I'm game for that. Anytime.
But cheers, man.
Oh yeah, cheers.
Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate it.
If you rocking
Rock with
me,
us? My bad. I know it's liners, so I'm gonna let you do your job.
if you rocking me, you rock with us, bro. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no problem.